Whatever you do, do not play Cat Scratch. It was supposed to be one of those harmless games, like Bloody Mary or the Candyman game, which we both know is not harmless. But they're silly rituals that ask you to invite fear into your life. But Cat Scratch is a game that I will never forget. It was my sophomore year of college and it was late October. You know, a lot of scary games pop up then because it's Halloween. People love doing scary stuff. I remember it was just after midterms and everyone's energy seemed extremely drained. I was with some friends and we were trading scary stories. It was just before we were headed to a Halloween party. And that's when Lucas brought it up. Have you guys heard of Cat Scratch? I really hadn't thought of that game in years. I know we played it as a kid, but I'd just kind of forgotten about it. I didn't really remember exactly how you play the game. Something about scratches and witches, but Lucas pulls out a piece of paper that he has folded up with instructions. He started reading out the rules and I was kind of looking over his shoulder and I noticed scrawled at the bottom, it read, "Don't play, she'll follow. You'll never sleep again." So I asked Lucas where he got it and he said it showed up under his door last night. I don't really know if it gets creepier than that. He asked the group, "Want to try it?" And everyone agreed, and that's where everything went wrong. Keep in mind, we're in college and we're all drinking. We took the paper to a creepy old empty lecture hall and Lucas laid down on the cold floor. I knelt beside him and I started reading from the note to begin the ritual. Imagine you're in your room playing a game. You hear your mom call from downstairs. She asks you to go to the store and buy a loaf of bread. It's late, but you agree. As you turn your back, your mother yells, "Wait! Watch out for the old witch. If you want a cat scratch, cat scratch, cat scratch, she'll give you one." My voice seemed to hang in the air a little bit too long and everyone else in the room went silent. I pressed on, reciting each line as instructed. Lucas's breathing got shallow and then I screamed, "Wake up!" He bolted upright and his eyes grew wide. He screamed, "Dude, my back!" And there were 3 deep scratches down his spine. Nobody was laughing. Everyone was terrified. We headed off to our own respective rooms and called it a night. After that night, I started to feel paranoid. I felt like every shadow in my room was moving. I kept hearing a weird sound, like scratching nails against wood. Weeks passed and things got worse. Lucas started missing all classes. Next time I saw him in the hallway, I tried to ask him what was going on. He had pale, sunken eyes, and I asked him, "What's going on?" "She watches me while I sleep. Sometimes I wake up and she's standing by the door and she gets closer every time." I started asking around our group, and others reported the exact same things. Waking up breathless, deep scratches started to appear on people's backs overnight. One girl even dropped out entirely. Her roommate said she wouldn't stop mumbling about a witch and how it was just creeping closer and closer. At this point, I still had the paper and I tried to burn it and it wouldn't burn. I tore it up and flushed it down the toilet, and the next morning someone slid another one underneath my door. We thought it was just a game, but we were wrong. By the 3rd week, things spiraled completely out of control. Lucas stopped leaving his room altogether. I went to check on him after he stopped responding to my texts, and what I found will haunt me forever. His dorm room was a mess. His clothes were scattered everywhere, his blinds drawn tight, and the air smelt sour like sweat and beer. He was huddled in the corner trembling as he muttered under his breath, "She's here, she's always here." He wouldn't even look at me. You could tell he'd been biting his nails and there were scratches covering his arms. I knew I had to get him out of his dorm room. I tried to convince him to come with me, but he refused. He just kept rocking back and forth. I decided to give up and leave. I was gonna come back later to check on him again with one of my friends and try to force him to leave his dorm. But by the next morning, Lucas was gone. His roommate said he packed a bag in the middle of the night and left. He didn't even say goodbye, and nobody has heard from him since. Everyone else started getting more paranoid after that, and then I started waking up with scratches. I started to see her in my dreams, and I don't know if it was because they were telling me about what they were seeing or if it was my own mind. In my dreams, there was a hunched over, claw-handed figure that would creep up the end of my bed. She had dark hair and red glowing eyes, and in my mind, I knew it was the witch from Cat Scratch. And every time I woke up, she'd be a little bit closer, and I'd wake up drenched in sweat. But one night, I woke up from a nightmare, and she was still standing at the edge of my bed. For a moment, I couldn't move. The witch's face was void and empty. She dragged her nails across my bed, and I screamed. When I screamed, she disappeared. I went back to sleep, but when I woke the next morning, I knew that that part wasn't a dream because there were scratches on my blankets. Desperate for answers, I tried looking up the origin of Cat Scratch. I combed through all of the obscure forums. I even went to old bookstores looking to find anything that was true. But there was only one consistent detail I found. Once you've played the game, there's no escaping her. The witch, whatever she is, chooses her victims, and she doesn't stop until she gets what she wants. By the end of the semester, our group had completely fallen apart. 2 people transferred schools without warning. Another ended up in the hospital after a fall down the stairs. They left her with a concussion and a broken arm. She swore she had been pushed, but they checked the cameras and there was nobody else there. As for me, I've stopped sleeping. The dreams keep coming and they keep getting worse. Last night I dreamt I was back in the lecture hall. Instead of Lucas, I was laying on the floor during the ritual. And when someone screamed, "Now wake up," I woke up and I'm staring at my dorm room door that is leading to pitch blackness. Now if you're watching this, consider it a warning. CATSCRATCH is not just a game, it's a curse. And once she finds you, there's no escaping.